Bryan MacCormack is the executive director of Columbia County Sanctuary Movement in Hudson, New York. He was captured on video refusing to open his car door on March 5th to what an Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer insisted was a warrant of arrest for an alien. MacCormack had accompanied 2 immigrants without legal status to the courthouse to deal with minor traffic citations. They were in their car about 20 seconds when they were pulled over by ICE agents. Before the agent got to the car, Bryan told one of his passengers to start recording video and reminded them of their rights. That video has now been viewed over 20 million times since it was released on March 8th. Bryan is with us today to discuss the incident, his organization, and why it is so important to know your rights when stopped by ICE. Welcome, Bryan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Brad.
My pleasure. Let's play the video first because it's very important to watch what happened. Let's watch.
Mark, I'm going to put you on speaker. Those are not warrants of arrest,
Yes,
sir.
they are, sir. Warrant of arrest of alien.
Yeah, warrant of arrest of alien not signed by a judge. It's not a judicial warrant. I have no obligation to oblige by that warrant.
This is a lawful warrant.
Signed by a judge?
Of the Immigration and Nationality Act, and an official designated with that authority.
Are you hearing this, Mark?
Yeah, I'll tell him I'm on my way.
Our attorney's on his way.
Okay. What's that gonna...
That's not a warrant.
That is a warrant.
No, it's not. It's a Department of Homeland Security order.
It's a warrant.
Okay. No, it's not a warrant. It's not a warrant under the Constitution of the United States.
It's a warrant under the Immigration and Nationality Act of the United States.
Okay, that's fine, but it's not under the Constitution. You have no jurisdiction over me as a citizen. I'm the driver of this vehicle.
Okay, are you familiar with Title 8, Section 1324 of U.S. Code?
Somewhat.
Somewhat. In what regard?
I'm studying to be a Department of Justice accredited representative, so I've been through trainings.
Okay.
And I have copies of actually, in this box right here, I have a copy of a real warrant and a copy of that, just so people know not to listen to that.
Okay. So you're aware of the statutes governing transporting and harboring illegal aliens in the United States?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, Bryan,
And,
why don't you just wait? I'll be there in a couple minutes.
okay, thank you.
All right. So, were you scared?
I was a little nervous, mostly because of the fact that I had 2 community members in my car, and I knew that the future of their lives could be impacted by my actions that day. Myself, I was a little nervous as well, but yeah.
Why did ICE pull you over 20 seconds after you got in the car? Were they following you?
We believe that it's standard practice for ICE to be monitoring and stalking courts, rather, in New York and across the country. So we believe that they were waiting outside of court in their vehicle and then followed us as we left court to go to the individual's attorney's office.
I understand. You talked about in that video, that's not a warrant. I'm not going to let these people out of the car and you can't take them. Tell me, what is the difference between a warrant from a judge and, as far as you're aware, that document that the ICE agent was giving you saying, give me these people and let them out of your car?
Yeah, of course. So the document that the ICE agent had was a Department of Homeland Security document, and it's entitled A Warrant for Arrest of Alien. It's really just a document from the Department of Homeland Security. I believe the officer that was in my window actually signed the document himself. He still has a pen in his hand if you view the video. The difference is that the Constitution calls for a judicial warrant under the 4th Amendment in order to allow search and seizure of private space. So for a judicial warrant, in my understanding, it has to go to the court system. A judge has to review the warrant and sign off on it in order for it to be valid for search and seizure to be conducted.
What you were saying is that whether it's your home or your car, they don't have a right to go open the door and take somebody out. Had this immigration officer, you were walking out of the courthouse and you were out in public space, this immigration officer could have arrested him with or without a warrant.
That's my understanding, yes. I believe that warrants apply to private spaces. So the 3 main areas that we find this most common are in your car, in your home, and in a business. So for example, ICE could enter a restaurant. They're allowed to go into the public space of that restaurant. but they would need a warrant signed by a judge, aka a judicial warrant, in order to go into the kitchen looking for somebody.
For an employee, exactly.
We actually have multiple videos linked to our website. So it's called We Have Rights. One of those videos is when an ICE officer is at your door, like you just mentioned. And honestly, their tactics are ruthless. In our trainings, people have discussed the amount of times that ICE has lied or used tricks in order to get individuals to open their door. They try to say that they're the actual police. They try to say that they're investigating a crime. They say that they're looking for somebody else, etc. And what we really want people to know is that if they do not slide a judicial warrant under your door, you have no obligation to open that door and allow them to come in.
And that is a judicial warrant signed by a federal judge, not by an immigration judge. What are we watching here? We just watched a video here.
So this is a video called We Have Rights, a video that was produced by the ACLU. But this video, one of the reasons we like it is because the animation is great in it. And you're one click away from changing the language on any of these videos. It really demonstrates what may happen in situations and how our community members can handle it. And I think that's the importance of the video that I'm in that went viral. It's an example of an individual doing it. And I think that carries a lot of weight. We're spreading the example and spreading the information to community members and allies alike.
Were you expecting at some point that an ICE officer was going to pull your car over? Maybe not that particular day. You were ready for that, right?
We do prepare individuals that this could potentially happen when they go to court. We have a rapid response system that we've organized in case of emergencies like this. That's the reason our attorney was on the phone and then on the scene. It's the reason that city council members came to the scene as well to witness what was happening. We knew it was a possibility, as did the individuals in my car, and we were prepared for it.
Now the video stopped when you were on the phone with your organization's attorney who says, I'm going to be right over. And take us through the rest of that time, because we only saw that part of the video.
After that video ends, there was about 5 minutes of waiting time. My attorney arrived, and shortly after, ICE and the Hudson Police Department left the scene. And my understanding is that they left the scene because they didn't have the jurisdiction or the warrant to enter my vehicle and take those community members.
Do you think they were scared away because you were videotaping them and I guess the truth would come out of what they're doing?
I mean, we already got all the most important parts on video. Of course, their statement says that did not want to further disrupt, which is blatantly false. Their whole modus operandi is to disrupt the lives of our community members. They separate families every single day. People have died in their hands. They have no problem disrupting the lives of our community or people in our country.
What do you tell people who don't have the luxury of having Bryan driving them around, or maybe have the luxury of being able to call an attorney?
I encourage community members and allies alike to prepare themselves in similar ways. And I will say that everybody in this country has the same rights under the Constitution. I've seen videos like this of immigrants defending themselves without allies present, without attorneys present, and your rights are still the same. If there's no warrant, do not open the door. And yes, maybe it will be a standoff for a longer period of time, but unless they take the time to hold you there while they go to a federal judge and try to get a warrant, then they're still not going to be able to open your door.
What, if anything, can you suggest to people if they do have an immigration issue and they're approached by ICE? What if you're just walking out of the courthouse? What do you do?
First and foremost, we tell people to make sure that they're traveling with valid documentation if they have it, not to travel with false documentation, not to respond to their name if it's called in public and it's not by somebody that they're with. And again, you have the right to remain silent. The We Have Rights videos actually demonstrates that situation as well. 3 of my community members in the last year have been pulled over. They were all in the same car, and they were not as well informed about their rights, and they did end up getting detained by ICE. So it's certainly an uphill battle to spread this information. We are doing Know Your Rights trainings, etc. I think in general, this administration's enforcement is exponentially more aggressive.
Tell me what would have happened to these 2 individuals that were in your car had you listened to the ICE officer.
In our experience, what happens is community members are detained. They're brought to Albany County Jail, who has a contract with ICE. Stay in Albany County Jail until there are beds open in Batavia, New York, where there's a federal immigration detention center. And if they're unable to pay for bond before they're transferred, they're then transferred to Batavia. They wait in Batavia for about a month before they have a hearing in front of a judge to reissue the bond if they're eligible for one. And then they enter into removal proceedings.
Tell me a little bit more about your organization.
The Columbia County Sanctuary Movement organizes with immigrants and allies to collectively support, empower, and defend our communities. The ways in which we do so are by organizing legal clinics with pro bono attorneys to do consultations. We do know your rights trainings. We do cultural events such as soccer tournaments, for example. We are also the regional organizer for the Greenlight New York campaign, which is a campaign to restore equal access to driver's licenses for all New Yorkers. Prior to 9/11, regardless of your immigration status, you could apply for a driver's license. And shortly after that law was changed. So we are campaigning to change laws to make life for immigrants more just in this country as well.
How does somebody reach Columbia County Sanctuary Movement?
You can go to our website, which is sanctuarycolumbiacounty.org. You can find us on Facebook under the same name. And if you have an emergency, you're located in our area, you can call us on our hotline, which is 518-303-3848.
And finally, Bryan, tell me what your American dreams are.
My dream is for our organization to not have to exist.
Yes.
My dreams right now for our organization are to continue to grow, to become sustainable. Our biggest goal right now is to train more of our staff to become Department of Justice accredited representatives, which will provide legal services for immigrant clients in Columbia County. There's not a single immigration attorney in our county.
Do you know your family's immigration history?
We're Scotch-Irish. We also have other European roots, and I think I'm about 3 generations removed from immigration.
So being third generation American, what got you involved and so passionate about what you're doing?
Well, I grew up in Hudson, New York, which is a very diverse area. I'm also a soccer player, so my teammates were from around the world with mixed immigration status my whole life growing up and into college. My partner's family is also directly affected by this issue, so her and I are 2 of the co-founders of the Columbia County Sanctuary Movement.
Thank you very much. It was a great job there on the video, and it sounds like you're doing a great job up there in Columbia County. Bryan MacCormack, Executive Director of Columbia County Sanctuary Movement. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Brad.